We are live. Oh, it always feels good to be live, doesn't it?
It does. It makes me feel like I'm on fire. This is
Yes.
good. Hello,
On-
everybody, and welcome.
I don't think that this feels like being on fire. I don't know a lot about being on fire,
You see,
but it
as a
seems
filmmaker,
terrible.
as a filmmaker, you should 100% be able to associate with the metaphor of feeling like you're on fire.
One of these days, we're going to get a stuntman on the show, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be on fire.
Oh,
How about
literal
that?
fire?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Today is episode 85, and
Oh,
we last week was pretty great. Talked to Ifoma Smart about the Black Lives Matter movement, and that was a lot of fun for us. This week, we've been wanting to get our special guest on the show for quite a while, actually, since we met him. His name is Robert, and he is a Kitchener Waterloo community television producer. Really good dude. I met him when I was at um, the pitch session for the KW Arts Fund. So that's where I met him for the first time. So we got a chance to chat, and he was like interviewing people, trying to understand what. Well, I'm going to let him talk about it a little bit more. So, without further ado, let's start the show.
let's start the show. 1, 2, 3, 4, start the show. Let's go. Woo!
Hey guys, I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jay. We run Fable Forest Films.
Right now, we're totally independent,
But what's the dream?
making crazy awesome film and television for the biggest studios.
This podcast is our journey. Welcome, Robert.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Robert. Now,
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having
joining
me.
us. Robert, now I just wanted to say, before we got the show started, I noticed as soon as we began that you had a Yeti mic and you had a puff pad in front of your mic, and I noted that your sound would be far better than our sound, and we're the hosts of the show. This is ridiculous.
Well, yes, I mean, everything shifting from working from home, you kind of have to shift and start investing. And now that, community television doesn't stop just because the pandemic is on, everyone needs their local information, and you've got to just beef up on your quality.
Now, I would like to know how you knew that was a Yeti mic.
Me?
Yeah.
It's just the general shape of the Yeti mic. I just assumed that. I'm not sure about the color. I don't know if that's the Yeti color, but certainly that sort of the round ball of the top of the mic is very iconic of the Yeti mic. So I just
The only Yeti I know is those great big drinks.
creatures that live in the. Oh yeah.
Have you seen those drinks? Yeah. And the creature, the creature 100%.
Yeah. Well, this is a Yeti, and I bought a silicone covering for it, plus this extra muff here and the pop filter, just for any kind of drop problems or anything like that. If I dropped it, I do not want to have to buy another one.
That's right. Amazing.
I mean, look at that. Look at this thing. Yeah, that is a sweet mic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Amazing. So again, thanks for joining us. I got a chance to speak with you when I was at the KW Arts Fund grant kind of application info session, and then again you came out to work with us at TKO Fighting Arts when we were ramping up to kind of had the big Art of Eight Limbs fight night. And since then, we've had a chance to sit down and chat, and I've been really interested because you kind of blew me away with what your interests were when we started chatting. You were like, I love the news, and I was like, that seems so dumb to me. But that said, I love to hate on the news, so I've been really wanting to sit down and talk to you. Can you start to tell us a little bit about kind of your intro into filmmaking and your brand of filmmaking and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So from the beginning, I've always had an interest in television broadcasting and the news. Ever since I was a child, my parents were never one to shy me away from the news. It was always like, you need to know what's going on in the world. Don't shelter from, obviously, if it's like, content might be a little graphic, shield your children. But when it comes to just basic information of what's going on in the world, you really don't want them to be completely separated from it. You don't want them to be like just arrogant and innocent from everything. There's a lot of information that you can learn from the news that can really help you grow and shape your mind. And it's not even focusing on just one outlet, like just watching CBC or just watching CTV or City, CP24, etc. Each news organization has its own bias. It's the unfortunate truth. Each one leans a certain way. But if you follow each news outlet, like I do, I follow every news outlet, American and Canadian, on all of my media outlets, and I gather information from each one, and that's how I start building my understanding, because one outlet will say a story one way and one outlet will say a story another way. So I never really shied away from that. What got me started was it was surprising. I was actually supposed to be going into police foundations out of high school, and I was going to be a police officer, and hopefully my end goal, I had everything planned out, of course.
Not with that hair, Robert.
Right? You could get nice and buzzed and, a flat top.
That's not a police officer's haircut, let me tell you what.
It's way too friendly looking.
Oh yeah, right. But no, I actually wanted to be in the special forces in the Canadian CSIS, right?
Cool.
So I had started a high school co-op at a local security company in my hometown of Oshawa, Ontario, and. Sorry, just to stop you there, I'm just going to jump forward a quick second.
Yeah. Did you sit down and have the application interview for CSIS? Or for the... Are you getting to that part of the story?
He can't tell you.
It was a secret. Shh. But no, that was a job I wanted to retire from, kind of thing. Okay. But no, it was just with a basic security firm in local Oshawa. And then what had happened is the local office had closed. It shut down about a week before my co-op was supposed to start. So the school's panicking around. I had no courses to fill in this co-op section, and they're like, well, there's this little community TV channel here in Oshawa. It services Durham, but you'd be doing filing for them, and you'd be doing like helping with customer service and whatnot. It's called Rogers Community Television. And I said, okay, sure, I'll do filing, whichever. I don't want to be in school. So I went for the interview, and I sat down with the volunteer coordinator at the station, and I said, yeah, I'm ready to do whichever. The school said filing and customer service. I'm totally down for that. That's okay. And she just stopped me right there, and she's like, no, that's
you're gonna run this TV show over here now.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, so this is your camera, and it's a camera that was massive, about it sits 80 pounds on top of a 100-pound tripod, and they're like, yeah, so you're going to be
fire.
That was it. You're going to be our camera guy for today's show. So you can get on in there, and we'll see how you do, and we'll move on from there. And I said, that's great. And that's where she started at. After that, I was doing 60, 80 hours a week volunteering, just back and forth. And I fell in love with it ever since.
Wow. Now, 80 hours a week as a volunteer, what kinds of things were you doing?
So I had a mixture of in-studio and on-location productions that I would do. So we had a morning show. We had a former morning show called Daytime. It was the local version of breakfast television, but instead of focusing on what was going on in Ontario or Toronto, it was focused on what's going on in Oshawa and the Durham region. Mm-hmm. So I did that every morning, 5 days a week, and it ran from 7:30 in the morning till noon, going live at 11 a.m. So I did that 5 days a week. I do the afternoon shows of whichever would be taping that day. Series changed weekly to monthly. Community television series are very short-lived. So you get about 6-8 episodes in, you're on to the next project. And then on the other side of that, I do on-location shoots. So Rogers and Rogers TV, they broadcast with volunteers the OHL network of television games in their local networks, of course.
Awesome.
So Oshawa Generals, Kitchener Rangers, Guelph Storm, just all across southwestern Ontario, they do broadcast, and they also do broadcast the Q. So I did broadcast the Oshawa Generals for about 3 seasons with them, and then through Rogers I got employment with the Oshawa Generals as their music coordinator for a season. And just from there, it grew. And I did everything from hockey games to local cooking shows on location to yoga to the Oshawa hosted the Women's World Cup of Lacrosse in 2013. And it just everything we covered.
What? Talk to us a little bit about filming a hockey game. So how many cameras in an OHL stadium?
So in an OHL broadcast, what usually comes of it is in its full force with a community television station broadcasting it. It's about 6 cameras, 1 and 2. No, not really. You'd be surprised. 6 cameras, maybe 8 if you count. The OHL requires every station, doesn't matter if it's Rogers, Cogeco, Shaw, whichever, they require to have 2 cameras in the roof of every stadium looking over the net. It is part of the requirements that you have to have that just so they can review it. You have to be constantly recorded no matter what. And they have to be able to
now you guys can use that footage though.
Yes, we can use it. We have access to it, but the OHL gets first dibs, of course. So there's about 6 to 8 cameras, 6 manned cameras. 2 of them will be in the stands where everyone else is sitting and watching. One of them will be a very tight, very, very long lensed camera. So the tight shots, head to toe, shots of these players getting like shots or anything like that.
Or smashed.
Or anything. That camera, you are always tight in on that player. You are never wide. If you are wide, you are yelled at.
And what frame rate is everything shooting at, like 29.97, or like what frame rate are the cameras shooting at? Is anything shooting high speed?
It really depends, because Sportsnet will come in and cover some of the broadcasts throughout Ontario, so they will broadcast the OHL game in 4K at 120 or 60, depending on the building's resources, of course. But with a community television channel, it's shot and interlaced, so it's 1080i at 59.97, which so like it's about 30 frames a second if you once it converts and goes through your cable box, but it shoots 59.97.
What does interlaced mean?
So interlaced. so when you buy a TV at Best Buy or Walmart or whichever, you will always have the option between getting like a TV that's 1080i and 1080p. 1080i is about the same size as 720p if you want to go with the conversion rates and everything, and that eventually from start to finish. But what interlaced is if you remember an old TV set, a CRT fat TV with a big back on the end of it, they weighed like 100, 200, 300 pounds, filled with lead. They gave off that nice, really high-pitched hum, and you could see the lines in it go back and forth across it. If you looked real close, you could see the 3 colors, and you could see the lines going across. That's interlaced. That's your TV is refreshing, going across every other line, and then it comes down on every other line afterwards. So it makes it a seamless transition. If you that's why when you shoot a TV that is interlaced, like an old CRT TV or the new ones that you can get 7 or 1080i, if you shoot that with a camera or anything like that, you can still see the refresh rate that comes down when you see that, and it comes that's your camera is near the it's off from the shutter rate or the frame rate that television is refreshing in. So that's why you can see the lines coming down, coming through. If you speed up or slow down your camera's shutter speed to either you can have that black bar stop in your TV, or you can remove it altogether depending on the rate. That's what happens. Is that you're starting to see those lines, seeing the refresh rates.
Oh, I like this. I just got a Twitch comment here. You want to become famous? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Let's buy some followers, primes, and viewers on adviewers.com. No, thanks.
But thanks very much.
Thank you. We appreciate that. No. We'll just spend some money, and then we'll be famous. It's gonna be great.
$25.
That's really cool. So I assume that you've got like a back room with all the TVs, and you're screaming. You're like, God damn it, Bobby, get to camera one for that, and like people are not paying attention.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of yelling in the back room, I assume?
Yeah. So how the community channels work, it does depend on the region. Like if say if you're in Barrie. In Barrie, with the Barrie Colts, their production center is built into the stadium where the Colts play. So they don't really need a television truck to come out. So they can broadcast anything from there. But how most of the stations work is that there's a broadcast truck that will travel from the station to the arena. And then all the volunteers and staff will sit in there and broadcast the game from there. And the cables run inside the building. And that's why usually when you set up for a hockey game, you're there 5 hours before game time to set up and make sure that everything is working. And if anything's not working, you can repair it in that amount of time. So yeah, there's a lot of yelling in the truck. There's a lot of screaming, but I mean, volunteers can do almost anything when it comes to a broadcast like that at either Cogeco or Rogers, or Shaw, if you will. What they can do anything from directing and producing. They can do video replay, which is like, you know, when they score a goal or anything like that, you see the instant replay. That's someone's controlling that. Someone's going back, editing that, setting the in, setting the out, and then pressing play within those 5-6 seconds that you're
that's so cool.
requesting for.
That's
right?
crazy.
That's so cool.
Someone is sitting. It makes that edit.
Yeah.
It makes it available to the system so that you can replay it right then.
And I think one of my favorite parts is like they're taking a bunch of students and giving them these awesome jobs, right? Which is pretty exciting.
Now, how many people involved in, say, for instance, one of these games is a volunteer? Is everyone a volunteer, or is it just the camera operators? Is there someone who is like how many of the organization?
So on an OHL broadcast, and I mean, it can change because the crew doesn't just do an OHL broadcast. They'll do lacrosse, they'll do soccer, they'll do whatever. But the crew, it's usually 2 employees total, and then the rest of the crew is volunteers. So two employees, and usually what you need for an entire crew is about 13 volunteers for a good, fully staffed, fully crewed game for everything to be filled. And that's with runners as well. So like a runner will go from the truck, grab stats from the OHL representatives up in the booth and run it back down, or swap out a camera op if they need to, if someone has to go to the washroom or anything like that. So
if you only have 8 people, you gotta piss in a cup.
No.
Nobody can relieve you. There's no relief.
Yes.
So
no.
Let's just say that you hope the periods go fast and they have a long intermission.
yeah, those periods, they go fast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So when you show up with a broadcast truck, because I want to talk about the trucks too, because these are very exciting. But when you show up with the broadcast truck, are you're bringing cameras in, or cameras are already there? Are you running cables, or is everything super wireless? Talk to us a little bit about like how that works.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Infrastructure. Well, of course. So it depends on the venue you're at. When it comes to a basic OHL broadcast, the cameras and the gear are not there. They live on the truck. And the cables stay there. 9 times out of 10, if you're with an OHL team that has been around for just either a short amount of time, or they've invested the money to upgrade their facility, the wires are already run through the walls of the facility. So nothing has to be torn down.
So you like park at a specific place in the back, and they're like, here's your shunt of all your wires that go to your different locations and things like that.
Exactly, and then you run the cameras to each one of those locations. But it's not just cameras and whatnot that's out there. It's there's wireless gear that you have to make sure that runs for microphones. You have to have a handheld mic for that host that's standing on the other side of the arena. You have to have some type of transmitter that has to all be assembled. All the cameras have to be assembled. The commentator booth is not assembled, so you have to have a table.
Oh wow!
Like if you're watching wrestling or anything like that, and you see wrestlers get thrown on to the table and everything breaks and falls apart and goes everywhere, I cringe every time I see that. Just because I know how long it takes to set up one of those tables. You take these boxes, you take televisions, you take everything, you set it up, you plug it all in, make sure it's all working good. You test the headsets out, you're making sure everyone sounds great, and then a wrestler goes through it, you know?
So what kind of waiver do you sign as a co-op that's like, listen, if you go to a wrestling match, there is a 90% chance that you're going to get some great big dude that smashes into your TV and yourself and knocks you on the floor?
Well, when it comes to that, every volunteer does sign and understand what's coming of it, because in a soccer, you could get a ball to the face, right? That's happened to me. I've gotten a ball right into the end of my lens and popped it right into my face. It happens, but you're covered.
Camera work
is dangerous.
Camera work is dangerous. Yes.
Can be. Because also the thing is, if you when you're looking in the eyepiece, you don't realize it's almost like it's somewhere else,
right?
There was a commercial that was being shot in Cape Town, South Africa, and the car, it was a stunt driver, and it was a commercial for Mini, the car, and the camera operator was, and this was back in everybody was shooting on 35mm film. The camera operator had his eye on the lens, and he's just following the action, and it's like you're transported somewhere else, because he doesn't realize that the stunt driver lost control of the car. He's just trying to get the shot, and eventually somebody dove in from the side and tackled him out of the way, and he just managed to get out of there before the car went straight through the camera.
Yeah,
well, it's almost like you're wearing a VR headset, if you will. When you're doing handheld, it's different than when it's on a tripod. If you're doing handheld, you're here. Your right eye is in the lens, in the eyepiece. Your left eye, you usually close it, just right, so that you're not being distracted by other things. So you're now in almost kind of like a single eye mono VR headset, and you turning and everything. It kind of feels like you're in a video game, or like total virtual reality.
You need a camera spotter.
Yes. Well, and that's
in some
cases.
In some cases, yeah.
That's the whole point of the 13 people on a crew. You have the handheld people in the stands down right at ice point and whatnot. You can have someone sitting with them, making sure that, because fans don't like camera people in front of them. They've got a big technical box blocking their view from the expensive seats they've bought. But right. I mean,
yeah, we had some folks that weren't impressed with our camera guys at Art of Eight Limbs when they were in front of them, standing at the corner of the ring or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got some comments, that's for sure.
So now to step aside from the OHL and the sort of the event shooting, have you ever done some gnarly kind of news gathering where you're out on the streets?
Well, let me. Okay, yeah. Let's hear about that.
So, for me, I haven't done a lot of right in the depths of people in the just around. for news gathering, I do a small local, like hyper local news program. It only focuses on 4 communities. It focuses on Waterloo Region, Brantford, Guelph, Wellington, and Stratford, Perth. So some of the protests and whatnot I have covered and whatnot. But under the COVID-19 restrictions, I couldn't cover the Black Lives Matter one in downtown Kitchener, unfortunately.
Long lens, bro.
I wish, but no, I've gone to like protests and things like that, and been in the streets, and you wander and people push you aside and things like that. But yeah, like most of the stories I do are hopefully, as I said, I like to keep them positive. I like to keep the aspect of news more honest, more truthful. And I don't, or I try to make sure that my programs aren't leaning one way or the other, just because I think people deserve the full on truth of the story, whether you're conservative, liberal, green, blue, black, whichever.
Well, that's what I really liked about your piece about the Art of Eight Limbs show. You kind of let us say our piece, but then also said, also the show's not that great, so people probably shouldn't watch it. We hyped it up, you tore it down. I appreciate that. It's fair and balanced. But what I wanted to say was, I watch. Do you watch the show Hassan Minaj, A Patriot Act on Netflix? Have you seen that show?
No, I haven't yet.
How about you, Adrian?
No.
Okay. Well, listen. It's a great show. It's 3 seasons long so far, but really, it's just like it's another. I don't want to say satire exactly. It's kind of like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, where he picks a story and he kind of builds up his, facts about it and stuff like that. Anyways, I think the last show he did was all about where we get our news, and I thought it was great. And you guys should check it out for sure. And everyone who's watching, check out the show on Netflix. But he was talking about how, the great big news organizations, your Foxes and your CNNs and your things like that, they definitely have this huge slant like you were talking about, and you do have to pay attention to both of them. But what he was saying was that the best news that you can get is actually your local newspaper. And he was talking about how the local newspapers are in big trouble. But he was talking about how almost every major news story of the last forever, it's not found by the huge Globe and Mail or the huge, whatever. It's by like the Miami Herald or the Boston newspaper or the Toronto Star or whatever. Like it's found by these, smaller newspapers. And he just talked about how, supporting your local newspaper, these are the guys that are out on the street finding these happy stories, these great things that are happening in your local region. And they're the ones that are also trying to hold, let's say, government accountable locally. So if weird shit's going on in your town, the global news doesn't care necessarily, about that small thing, but your local station is more likely to be kind of have their thumb on the pulse or whatever. Anyways, it was a really cool show, and it made me think about yourself and what you think about just the news in general, and so I do love hearing you talk about the fact that you go out and find a bunch of local news content. What types of things do you normally find?
Things I normally find, and it's usually just things that most people wouldn't even know about. Like where I met you was the KW Arts Fund. It was just a small piece I had found. I do get email updates. You just sign up for their newsletters and whatnot. But the region had sent out this email saying, "Hey, come on down and promote your arts funds and get some funding for yourself." And I said, this is great. I wonder how many people don't know about this. It's the whole thing of like, did I hear about this before? And why didn't I hear about this before? And how can I get people to hear about it? And that's what I'll do. I'll cover like from the larger stories to the smaller stories. There was a couple of women in Stratford that were sitting outside their local fabric land, and they didn't want it to close, so they were collecting signatures for their petition. I drove out to Stratford, went and interviewed them and covered them and did a whole 3-minute story on them just to like get their story heard, to get people out there and sign the pieces. But I'll go to many locations, like I'll go to Toronto or anything like that if it's concerning the Waterloo region. It doesn't matter how big is the story, how small the story. If it's something that people should know about and they can get involved, that's the whole thing, is if they can get involved, then I'll show it.
I remember the last time we had coffee, you were like, okay, I gotta go. I'm heading over because this township is getting new water meters. And I was like, okay, awesome.
Yeah, that was the county of Brant got new smart meters so that employees didn't even have to go on your property anymore. They can sit in their truck, point their cell phone at your house, it reads it. They got your water meter reading, and they drive on to the next location. That was it. But
that is awesome. Now, have you ever done a story that has, I don't know, something? What's a story that's special to you, and a story that's maybe gone a bit further than the local station that you were working at?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, even currently, just because the COVID-19 situation is going on, I'm not stopping my show. My program itself was postponed, but we went to a COVID special, which I started producing. I wouldn't say I really have a specific story, right? Just one, just because each one is special in its own way. They're all just really perfect. So, some that really have connected with me.
Heart of Eight Limbs, right?
Art of Eight Limbs was 100%. Great. Yes, wonderful. But I mean, yes.
How many times did you have to get Adrian to redo his lines? That's what our audience really wants to know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to embarrass him at all or anything like that.
Water under the bridge, Robert. Water under the bridge.
I replayed that story a couple times in the special best of episodes. I did. It was a great one. But no. I mean, down in Brantford, they hold a hockey game every year. It's called Hockey Night in Brantford. And those who are fairly high up in their municipalities will come out and play hockey. So the mayor of Brampton, Patrick Brown, was there. The mayor of obviously Brantford and Brant County, both David Bailey and what's his name? I can't think of it. You know what I'm talking about. Mayor of Brantford, Kevin Davis. That's it. You know,
Kevin Davis. Good.
Yeah, Kevin Davis, Dan Matheson for Stratford. You know, Cam Guthrie from Guelph. They were all there, and they were there raising money for the local charities and to help kids get more into hockey and whatnot. And like there's so many different stories like that. Kitchener holds similar things. One really good one I felt deserved, really needed a long piece, was one I did right before the COVID-19 pandemic stopped my series or postponed my series. It's called the Portrait of Honor. So it's this local artist in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, and it's down by I think it's Riverside Park down in Cambridge. Mm-hmm. The Kinsmen and Kinettes have their head office there.
Right.
In there, he's in the basement, and he paints portraits of soldiers that have been in multiple different wars, and those who have fallen, those who have been injured, anything like that. He paints them, and he has portraits of thousands of people that he's painted by hand. He's gotten permission. He's spoken to all the families. The proceeds go to him going around the country and back to the families, of course. And he does it all from the goodness of his heart. And then he gives a lot of these portraits to the families. He will paint them one by one.
Wow.
And give them to these people.
That's cool.
He's a wonderful person, and it was supposed to be in April. He was going to have a Toronto Maple Leafs alumni game in Cambridge, but unfortunately the pandemic did postpone that until next year. And it was just raising money to help the soldiers who are injured and who are suffering from PTSD and mental health issues from serving in the war. And it was just an amazing piece that I had to do, and it was just one of a kind.
Wow. And so that piece is available for people to watch, or it's postponed until a little bit later?
No, that piece is available for people to watch. You just have to go online on YouTube, and then it's under the Rogers TV YouTube channel. And it's under in the Your Region This Week playlist. You can find it all in there. I don't have a link on me, but it's also at the Rogers TV website. In the
and what was it called again? Portrait of Honor.
Portrait of Honor.
Excellent name.
Yeah, great title.
So how excellent are you? Because are you still using a honking big camera? Are you still because are you shooting on an F900? Is that the camera you were shooting on? A Sony?
No. I can't think.
Yeah,
it's a Sony. It's usually a Sony PDW XD cam is what we shoot with, and it's on the similar disc. And then everything has to be transferred from disc. Where is it? I have a disc sitting here somewhere actually. Digging through my pile of discs. So everything's shot on a disc like this.
Oh, cool.
It's all old school. It only holds about 23 gigabytes of footage, but it records. It's up to an hour of footage. That's in
1080i footage.
1080i 720p, and it goes into that. It's a shoulder cam. Yeah. It's similar to if people know their cameras, the PDW 700s. It's very similar to that camera, but it's not exactly that one.
Yeah,
but they are honking.
Yeah. So how good are you at lugging that camera around with you? You must be pretty smooth operator with that camera.
Yeah, well, it comes with me everywhere I go. The thing is absolutely massive. I really hope eventually we do get to upgrade to smaller cameras, so that we're no longer, because with a camera that size, you need a tripod that can hold it, and you need a bag to carry it, and you need the special massive battery that comes with it. And
yeah, but you don't. But Robert, not only are you getting paid, you also don't have to have a gym membership.
You are correct. You are correct. Yes.
So you're welcome. That's
what you should.
That's the workout.
if I have to shoot anything at the city of Kitchener or the region or anything like that, parking underground, walking in, taking the elevator, walking to the office.
So,
hectic.
So you're shooting everything, and then are you making your way over to an office where you edit, or do you edit everything at home?
So for COVID-19, I do everything from my home office here. I can still go out and shoot on special allowances and whatnot, as long as it's safe and fine for everyone to do so. But when it wasn't the pandemic, speaking before March, right. What we would do is we'd go out, we'd shoot everything, we'd come back to the office. And of course, it's all with company vehicles, and I don't have to pay for the gas. That's what I really appreciate. But no, you'd come back we'd have an entire editing bay, if you will. So it's a hallway with a bunch of doors that you go into, and you go in there, and there's a massive computer that's super powered that you can transfer all the content onto. You save it on servers so that you can access it from any one of the computers in the office, and then you edit it from there. and you edit it, get it together, everything like that. You put the graphics on top of it. You make sure everything's titled properly and whatnot, and then you pump it out for the program at the end of the week, at least for my program. But I mean, those cameras can be hooked up to a little backpack, and that backpack makes it live, and we can just go live from literally anywhere we are.
Wow, that's
awesome.
so cool.
Now,
What do you edit on?
So
what software do you use?
So in the office, we edit on Avid. So it's a fairly robust, beefy software. Personally, myself, I don't find it that user friendly for my tastes. But we use Avid and Marquee for the titling tools and whatnot.
What do you use?
But at home, I have the entire Adobe Creative Cloud. So I use Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, Illustrator, and whatnot. And I just build the shows in that and send it off.
High five. That's what we do too.
Now,
Nice job.
I have heard that some of the local TV stations, the news stations, are moving to a format where they are using smaller cameras, and they are beginning to edit everything on iPads.
That's correct. Yeah.
What?
So
and they're doing the edit
What?
like right there. Yeah, they're doing the edit like right there. They'll be like, boop, 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 boop. Now I've just heard about this. I haven't seen it, but
yeah, so I've seen it multiple times. Just being out there in the realm. I've seen CTV out there, and they do that aspect. They have small Canon. I wouldn't call them camcorders. They're a little more than camcorders, but they do take SD cards. And they shoot on that. They do their stand up with their CTV mic and whatnot. They take the SD card off. They put it in the iPad. They edit everything, and then it's sent to the local station here, and then they will air it. But none of the graphics are done on that. It's just all you're doing is cutting it up, send it off, and then they will do all the graphics at the station.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So
nice.
you have to assume, man, the iPad must create proxy files, or like what, you know what I mean? Like if they're shooting on something that's 4K, or like how are you able to move the footage around, and
Well, with local
cool.
networks, unless it's actually there's no major news network in Canada that I know of that is broadcasting anything in 4K.
4K. Okay.
They're all 1080.
Right.
Currently, especially with the iPad. The iPad cannot handle anything that would be more than 1080 by any means.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
yeah,
That's cool though.
I mean,
That's cool.
Because iPads don't generally come with card slots, so
No.
I would imagine that these are specifically designed iPads for this purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like that'd be pretty beefy. I think that'd be pretty beefy iPads.
It's usually it's usually like a mid-grade iPad. I wouldn't say it's super high end. And
really?
then they do have the Lightning port SDI, or not SDI, Lightning port SD card adapters.
Reader thing, yeah,
and that's how they go there from there.
So, I mean, nobody that's listening to this show, but like, let's take a quick moment. But
Sure.
nobody that's made it, to 42 minutes is looking for an update from us. But Adrian, what are we looking at here? Is that that looks too small to be shifted? That looks. How are we doing? What is that?
That is shifted.
Oh goodness.
There
Yeah.
is 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Woo.
So you can
Wow.
see the gaps, right? You can see the gap
Yeah.
There, but these scenes might not be this size, and then gap here, gap here, gap here, gap here.
Yeah. How are you feeling? What's give us a little taste. Give us a little update.
Yeah, I'm feeling really excellent. There's just shifted for you, Robert. Shifted is our third feature film. It'll be a horror thriller, and I'm feeling at the moment we've shot 98% of it. What we're doing now is the first. What we're doing now is the first edit, and the first run through, and then we're going to have to see the kinds of things we're going to have to repair and fix to make it a movie that's worth watching. I am excited about a huge chunks of this movie. I am excited about other chunks of the movie. I'm like, we got some work to do. You know what I mean? So it's at the moment, it's kind of a bittersweet relationship with the movie, but
Listen,
I am
it's
looking forward to
it's
finishing.
always a bittersweet. Okay, but it's funny. Adrian came over the other night, and we were just chit-chatting, and he was telling me about some of the lines in the movie that I had forgotten because it's been a while since we wrapped these scenes, and I was like, "Wait, did they say that in the movie?" And he was like, "Yeah, that was what we wrote. That's it's what they said." I was like, "Yes, that is amazing. I'm so excited."
Yeah, no.
I was like, "We're good at this." I forgot.
Like every now and again, I'll just take a picture of the screen, or I'll take a screenshot, or I'll take a picture of the frame and I'll send it to the actor who I'm busy working on the scene in. And the one actor, Derek Lackenbauer, he said, "Oh my, I can't wait to see this movie because I've forgotten it. So when I watch it, it's going to be like I'm watching it for the first time."
Sorry, everyone.
These are all terrible things.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Hey, Nuno. Hey, Danny. How's it going, guys? Oh, look at this Kentucky Fried Chicken. Hey,
That's a Danny right there.
Yeah, that's right. So, Robert, we're going to get to movies soon. But one of the other things that you had mentioned to me is just, again, your love for the news, and we want to tell us some of the inspirations that made you love the news. Who are some of your favorite newscasters? Wait, before you do that, actually, Adrian, can you name me 4 newscasters that are real?
No.
Can you?
That was quick.
Robert, can you name what? Can you name one? One news guy. One news human.
No, to be honest, I'm a terrible person to ask about names. Firstly, secondly,
this is excellent,
if you said the name, I would probably say.
Now I can cut it out and just have Adrian saying, "Honestly, I'm a terrible person." That's it. I got it on my iPad, and I've already gotten that little piece.
Send it to the news broadcast. Okay.
I'm not fair and balanced. Anywho.
So the newscasters I love, I mean, I've really focused on Lloyd Robertson when he was still on CTV before he retired. He'd been on there for decades. He'd done the CTV's coverage of the 1988 Calgary Olympics. He'd been on the national. He'd previously been on the CBC's The National beside Peter Mansbridge for years before he left and joined CFTO and CTV and joined Bell Media. But the way he told stories and the way he expressed things, he always tried to keep it from being too biased. And like anything like that, he never really threw in his personal opinions unless it was really something that was needed. And his current replacement, Lisa Leflam, she's doing an amazing job as well. With them, they are both actually the Grand River region natives. From what I know, is Lloyd Robertson's from Stratford. There's a garden in front of City Hall that's named after him, the Lloyd Robertson Garden.
Cool.
And Lisa Leflam is from the Kitchener area as well. And it's just, I love how they tell a story, and how they share everything. The one main thing that always stuck out about this, and this was a Lisa Leflam story. Almost, I think it was right as soon as she started, if not like within her first year. It was when the CRTC was implementing skinny packages and saying that there has to be a cheap television alternative to the current cable packages. Back in like 2013 of some sort. Obviously the large networks didn't like that. Rogers, Bell, TELUS, Shaw. They were not having it. They didn't want that, obviously, because they're going to lose money. So I remember I was watching the CTV newscast, and Bell had said that they didn't want. Doggo going away. Yeah. But no, I was watching the newscast, and what had happened was Bell had said that you're not to make comment about the skinny packages. It's not allowed.
Right.
We don't want any kind of publicity about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want anything of the sort. What CTV News did was they took that email, they made it public, and they did an entire story on it and said, at no point is our parent network and parent company allowed
to tell us what to do,
to tell us what we can and can't air. That's unconstitutional.
Whoa.
It's against the law. And they aired a story about the skinny packages.
Whoa.
And later on, Bell got rid of that executive, and CTV went against their parent, and there was nothing they could do because what they were doing was against the law. And to have a network stand up and brave their face like that, and
that's incredible.
And stand up to their parent like that is absolutely astonishing to me, and they really earned my respect from that.
But the executive lost their job, and the executive after them knows what the stakes are. And so now like the tendency towards not standing up to your boss when your boss sends something down the pipe that says you may not do this, I don't know. They still, like, it's almost like they won the battle. Do you know what I mean? But the war rages on. You know, that particular battle, CTV won that battle.
Yeah.
But in the long-term scheme of things, Bell wants to have control over their organizations. So it's just a tough fight.
But it's cool to see though that the news organization, when they feel that it's really needed, you know, has the you know, the wherewithal to
no one from
stand up,
no one from the news network lost their job, at least on the front lines. That was publicly released, of course, because there could have been something behind the scenes that could have happened. Don't know.
Yeah.
Happens.
Well, it reminds me of I do watch John Oliver a lot, and I'd love to hear what you think about kind of those satirical news shows. But I do watch John Oliver a lot, and that's kind of where I get some of my news. He does shit on AT&T a lot. You know, he calls them their news daddy or something like that, because I guess AT&T owns the HBO or whatever, and so but he shits on their head quite a bit and says they can't do anything about it or whatever because of what's in his contract or something. So it's he takes people to task for sure as well. What do you think about Daily Show? What do you think about like the nightly news shows like the David Lettermans and all those kind of things, as far as like bringing news to the people?
I don't find them bad. It really depends on what network will be broadcasting them. A lot of them is NBC, ABC, of course. So you have to figure out who they're with and who they're being broadcasted by, of course. And of course, right now, any nightly talk show that's broadcasted by Fox is actually now operated by ABC. So that's how it is. Fox lost everything that was any kind of entertainment. They only kept their news organization itself because Disney couldn't own both Fox News and ABC News. It's just it would have created too much of a narrow market. But that's what I try to look at first, is who's broadcasting them. Then you're more likely to understand what kind of content you're going to get. The one I used to watch often, I don't watch them anymore, just because work is absolutely crazy. But I can't think of his name. He does the Late Late Show.
Craig Ferguson.
No, I wish, but no.
Stephen Colbert.
No, British guy. James Corden.
Oh yeah.
James Corden with the Late Late Show. Yes. I do like his stuff. It's very funny.
Mhm.
And I do feel like he does, like, he will make a joke, he'll take a couple jabs here and there, but then at the end he'll go, no, but no, really, like, it's truly a great piece, or it's truly wonderful what kind of message you're trying to share, and then he'll go on a bit serious with it for a bit, and then back to satirical. And that's what I like. I'm not a fan of like the Jimmy Kimmels and Jimmy Fallons, just because I find it's nothing but super, like, they put such a spin on the story to make it hilarious that it starts to lose its actual news meaning, if you will. But they've turned it into comedy, which is the whole point of their job.
For sure. Adrian, any yeah, go ahead.
Do you watch, or have you watched, The Newsroom?
Okay, I know. Yes. So I have seen the first 3 episodes of The Newsroom. I love it. I do love it. It
Awesome.
is absolutely amazing.
That's a great show.
But it's getting time. It's always getting time, just because it's 8-hour days, and those are the short days. I mean, and then it's like, once you get home, you sit down and you fall asleep, and then you wake up and you're back at work. That's what it is.
Stop sleeping in the news van.
Yeah, I wish. But
All right.
it is a great series.
Adrian, do you have anything before we get close to wrapping up? Adrian, do you have anything more that you want to kind of share as far as what's going on in the Fable Forest side?
No, I don't think so. Just working on Shifted. Very exciting. We sent our production drive off to, and for 8 Limbs season 1, season 2, sent our production drive off to the distributor, Principal Media, out of Los Angeles, which is very exciting. So cool when you send a hard drive of all your stuff.
Come on, world.
It's like the address is like Beverly Hills. You're like, that's so cool.
Pick up the show, world. Come on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so that was exciting, but other than that, just grinding through Shifted and trying to get that out the door.
Amazing. Robert, one thing that we ask all of our guests on the show, and we're gonna give it a news slant, but what are some of your favorite news-related movies? Do you have anything? Yeah, do you have anything that, like, you were like, it's a movie, but it's about the news and it's awesome?
I mean,
how many movies are there specifically tailored towards the news? I can't.
We might have to brainstorm.
Yes. And I'm absolutely horrible with this. I can tell you right now, you list any of your favorite movies, I probably haven't seen them.
You're like our friend Zach Parsons.
Like, and I can
that actor hasn't seen a movie except for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I haven't seen Lord of the Rings.
Okay. What?
No.
Whoa. Let's get Zach Parsons on this show, and he's going to recite them for you. You won't even have to watch them. It's going to be amazing. All right, Adrian, you have one.
The Network. The famous monologue. Peter Finch does this famous monologue where he just loses it, and then on live TV, he just basically tells everyone how they should be living their lives. It's excellent, and I think pretty sure he won the Oscar for that role.
I'm gonna say
older movie.
I'm gonna say Money Monster. That was a recent one with Julia Roberts and George Clooney, where he does he's like they do a money show, kind of like a Jim Cramer sort of show, and some dude like loses all his cash and then comes in and holds the place hostage, and they do like a whole news show, and it was pretty great. That movie's
Monster,
great.
That's right.
Yeah, and Anne actually has that DVD and watches it pretty repeatedly.
The one I'll say, and there's actually a couple. The one is The Interview, where it's
with Seth Rogen.
Yes, Seth Rogen, where he has to go interview Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Absolutely hysterical. I was supposed to go to the red carpet of that.
Yeah, amazing.
But it was canceled. Everything was canceled because of the threats from North Korea over the movie.
Whoa.
Which just made me love it even more. And then there was the other one. It was George Clooney as the main character, and he was like on a TV show where they're basically talking about stocks, buy, sell, and then the guy takes the entire one hostage.
I'm not sure if you were paying attention to this interview when I talked about Money Monster 3 minutes ago. Yeah,
yes.
that's the one. That's the one.
Okay,
that's the one
okay.
Fair enough. Robert blanked out. He was like, "Okay, I gotta think of some movies."
Yes, I'm like, oh, rack my brain.
All right, just give us.
What about?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. What about Anchorman?
Anchorman's great. I have seen it. Anchorman's great.
100%. That counts.
It is. It is hilarious. Yeah.
67% of the time, it works every time.
Every time. Milk was a bad choice.
Loud noises.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Robert, for being on. We really, I liked hearing the stories, and we appreciate what you do. I mean, actually, you know what? Before we let you go, tell us what's next for you. Like, what are your aspirations for work? What is it that you really want to do? Because if we talk with a filmmaker, we say, if money was no object, if you could have it, whatever you wanted, what movie would you make? But we want to know what would you do? What do you aspire to do? Dreamland. Dream with us right now.
So if money wasn't an option and I can just get to anywhere I needed to be, I really would love to work on the broadcast side of Hockey Night in Canada, with Sportsnet, CBC, and Rogers. I love seeing the whole thing. I've done count hundreds of hockey games, hundreds of them, and I love doing them every single time. Don't get me wrong, I love the news. The news is great, and I love staying on top of it. But when it comes to a hockey game, there's nothing beats the thrill of you hear the director and the audio guy and a technical producer, everyone's in your ears screaming, and you're whipping around getting these shots with your long lens camera and staying on top of things. That is just absolutely amazing. And you can see on television exactly that where your hands were controlling and shooting, and that's your shot.
Now listen, I got to tell you something. That for you is a very achievable thing.
Come on. That's where we want to see you.
Do it. You can do
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, man. I mean, come on. Just get the gig.
Listen,
you can do it. Come on.
Hockey Night in Canada is a cutthroat business. And Robert needs to... There's some people got to fall down some stairs, and then Robert's going to make his way to the top. You know what I mean?
Well,
my plans.
We got to make sure that no community television producers are paying attention to that story.
Exactly.
You know. All right. Well, Robert, thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Thanks for being on the show, and we appreciate the kind of work that you do. And thanks for hanging out with us and chit-chatting with us and paying attention to us. I mean, we are local. We are doing things, and maybe once again we get to come on your show and talk about the things that we're doing, and that's important to us.
Of course, and I look forward to having you guys on the show again at some point.
All right, listen, everyone. Thanks. We'll see you again next week. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. But we will continue to be around. And thanks for watching. Dream big.
Work hard. Adios.
Thank you.
Really hope you enjoyed the show.
Wherever you watched or listened, please leave us a comment or a review. We really want to hear from you.
Share the show with a friend. You know they'll love us.
Head over to our website, thefableforest.com. There's all kinds of great stuff.
Poke around. Check it out.
See you all again in a couple weeks.